Ever wondered about that ancient story of two brothers, Jacob and Esau? It's more than just a tale about a bowl of lentil stew. It's a powerful lesson about value, blessings, and what truly matters in life, and it has some surprising connections to our world today. Let's dive into the first big moment, the exchange of the birthright. In their culture, the birthright was a huge deal. It wasn't just about inheriting a bigger piece of land. It meant becoming the new head of the family, the spiritual leader, and receiving a double portion of the inheritance. It was the key to the family's future and legacy. Esau, the firstborn, held this incredible privilege. But one day, Esau comes in from the field, exhausted and starving. He sees Jacob cooking a red lentil stew, and in that moment of intense physical craving, he says, "Give me some of that stew. I'm about to die." Jacob, seeing an opportunity, says, "Sure, but sell me your birthright first," and Esau, focused only on his immediate hunger, agrees. He basically says, "What good is a birthright if I'm dead?" He trades his long-term, invaluable inheritance for a single, temporary meal. Think about it in today's terms. How often do we trade something of immense future value for instant gratification? We might trade our long-term health for the momentary pleasure of junk food. We might trade deep, meaningful relationships for a few minutes of scrolling on social media. We might even trade our integrity or values for a quick, easy shortcut to success. Esau's mistake is our mistake. He despised his birthright, not because he was evil, but because he couldn't see its value beyond his immediate, physical needs. He prioritized the temporary over the eternal. Now, let's fast forward a bit to the blessings. This part gets even more interesting. Their father, Isaac, is old and blind, ready to pass on the patriarchal blessing. This was a spoken, prophetic declaration that was believed to shape a person's destiny. It was even more significant than the birthright itself. Isaac tells Esau to go hunt and prepare a meal so he can bless him. But while Esau is out, their mother, Rebekah, helps Jacob deceive his father. Jacob disguises himself as Esau, brings Isaac a meal, and receives the primary blessing meant for the firstborn. When Esau returns and realizes what happened, he is devastated. He let out a bitter cry, finally understanding the weight of what he'd lost. Isaac did have a lesser blessing left for Esau. Let's compare them. Jacob's blessing was incredible. He was promised the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, meaning spiritual and material abundance. He was told that nations would serve him and that he would be lord over his brothers. Crucially, it included the line, "Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you," connecting him directly to the covenant God made with his grandfather, Abraham. This was a blessing of leadership, dominion, and spiritual legacy. Esau's blessing, on the other hand, was almost a mirror image, but with a twist. He too was promised a life away from the richness of the earth and the dew of heaven. He would live by the sword and serve his brother. But there was a glimmer of hope. "But when you grow restless, you shall break his yoke from your neck." This meant his subservience wouldn't be permanent. His blessing was one of struggle, conflict, and eventual, hard-won freedom. It was a blessing of a survivor, a warrior. So, Jacob runs for his life, terrified of Esau's wrath. He spends the next 20 years in exile, working for his uncle Laban, and this is where things get really fascinating. Jacob, the one who got the better blessing, has a really tough time. He is deceived by his uncle, works 14 years just to marry the women he loves, and his wages are changed 10 times. He lives in constant stress and servitude. His life is far from easy. He's the schemer who gets schemed against. Meanwhile, what about Esau? The Bible tells us that when they finally meet again 20 years later, Esau is not a broken, poor man. He is the leader of a 400-man army. He has become a duke, a powerful and wealthy chieftain in his own right. He runs to Jacob, embraces him, and weeps. He has no need for Jacob's gifts because he has plenty of his own. The man who received the lesser blessing seems to be thriving. When they meet, Jacob bows down to Esau 7 times and calls him my lord. The blessed one is bowing to the one he was supposed to rule over. How can this be? It's a powerful lesson. A blessing isn't a magic ticket to an easy life. Jacob's blessing was about his long-term destiny and his role in the spiritual lineage leading to the nation of Israel. It was a spiritual inheritance that came with immense struggle and personal refinement. He had to be broken of his own scheming nature to become Israel, the one who strives with God. Esau's blessing, on the other hand, was for worldly success. He was a man of the physical world, and he prospered in it. He became powerful, wealthy, and independent, just as his blessing foretold. He didn't have the spiritual weight of the covenant on his shoulders, so he was free to build his own kingdom in his own way. He broke the yoke from his neck and became a force to be reckoned with. So what's the takeaway for us, for this generation? First, recognize the birthrights in your own life. These are your unique gifts, your potential, your values, your faith. Don't trade them for a fleeting moment of comfort or pleasure. What bowl of stew are you tempted by today? Is it worth sacrificing your future for? Second, understand the nature of blessings. Sometimes, the path that looks harder and is filled with struggle is the one that carries the greatest spiritual weight and purpose. An easy life is not always a blessed life. Jacob's difficult journey shaped him into the patriarch he was meant to be. Esau's path led to worldly greatness, but it was a different kind of destiny. Finally, the story ends with forgiveness. After 20 years of bitterness and fear, the two brothers reconcile. Esau's grace and forgiveness are perhaps his greatest moment. It shows that despite his earlier mistakes, he had grown into a magnanimous leader. He didn't need what Jacob had, he was content with his own portion. This ancient story reminds us to look beyond the surface. To value what is eternal over what is temporary. To understand that struggle can be a part of a great blessing. And to remember that in the end, grace and forgiveness can heal the deepest family wounds. It challenges us to ask ourselves, am I living like Esau, focused on the now? Or am I living like Jacob, wrestling for a blessing that has an eternal impact? The choice is ours. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into timeless wisdom.